Well, folks, good morning. My name is Bradley Power. I'm the Director of Programs with Municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador. I'm joined this morning by Councillor Tina Neary from the town of Portugal Cove St. Phillips. Tina is also the chair of the Municipal Mental Health Task Force entitled Communities That Care. So Tina is going to be the presenter today. Just a couple of quick housekeeping notes before we get things underway. Just so you are aware, you can arrange the way in which you see the screen here today. There are various options on the top right-hand corner of your screen. You can also click the More button if you're utilizing a laptop. The More button's at the bottom of your screen, and you can also arrange there how you see things. The webinar will take about 30 to 35 minutes around that mark. There will be a question and answer session at the end that I'll help coordinate with Councillor Neary. If you're interested in being part of the Mental Health Task Force moving forward, please feel free to reach out to Tina, and we will ensure that that you get the information for the upcoming meetings. MNL is really proud to be presenting these webinars ever since COVID started, really. And this one has been one that's very near and dear to our heart, simply because it's a very important issue. And of course, lots of great work is happening. So really glad that you could be here today for this. We will reach out to you after the fact. We'd like to hear your thoughts on the webinar itself and on what MNL is doing to support you during COVID. So we will send you a survey afterwards. But I also want you to be aware that you can raise your hand during the webinar through clicking the More button or the Raise Hand button in the Zoom app. But you can also type your comments or questions into the chat function. So feel free to engage in that way. So without any further ado, I'll hand things over to Tina, and we'll get the presentation underway. Tina, over to you.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Brad. Good day, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us here today. Thank you to MNL for providing the platform to discuss this very important topic. Just give Brad an opportunity to share the screen. That's awesome. Thank you. And so moving right along into the next slide, mental health is already something that requires great focus, even on the best of days. But now, now we must recognize how mental health and wellness in the workplace has been affected since being faced with COVID-19. Let Brad catch up. Love that face. I don't own that child, but he's pretty cute. We can go on to the next one as well, Brad. Thank you. Employers everywhere have done a fantastic job of preparing the workplace or supporting employees to work from home. Providing the equipment and devices necessary to do the job, the office for many has now become the kitchen table. The restrictions put in place have been paramount to ensuring employee safety. There are signs at every entrance and on every wall, reminding us about social distancing, telling us to wash our hands, sneeze into our elbows, how to wear masks and sanitize workstations. Never has there been a question about how to protect our physical health. But what about our mental health and wellness? Again, we forget to address what is not obvious, what is not seen. Employees have been working from home for a few months now and have learned the true meaning of isolation. It's not realized how much individuals count on their work family. That few minutes as you settle in each morning at the coffee station at 8 or 9 o'clock a.m., talking about the events of the evening before. For many, it's been a loss of daily support and adult conversation. Early on, we encouraged employers to continue with these weekly coffee times. Employees are by far more productive when they've had an opportunity to debrief events in the workplace. These opportunities were suddenly lost when their world as they knew it suddenly just shut down with no notice. And now the day suddenly had a great deal more responsibility attached to it, a large one being childcare for some. It was quickly discovered that debriefing over coffee with one's toddler, well, it just didn't have the same effect. And now, just as we're all starting to find our routine and adjust to our new normal, people are being phased back into the workplace. But it's not the same. Many being required to wear masks and gloves, only one at a time at the coffee machine. And now, even debriefing with the toddler is starting to look good. So what can administrators be doing now to support this transition? Well, for one, recognizing that things are not normal. As we transition through the various phases of reopening, it will be important for those involved to acknowledge and understand that things have not and likely will not go back to normal. There will be long-term changes made to the way businesses and our municipalities are operating. Acknowledging this reality is so very important. Employers need to do their best to support their employees as everyone begins the process of finding their new normal. Another is supporting the employee and their priorities. And for some, it might be something like childcare issues. It's difficult for the employee to be productive at work when they can't stop thinking about their children at home. And for some, this may be the very first time that they've had to bring someone into their home to provide childcare. Ask them, what do they need? Ask them, how can you help? Another is supporting the employees as they return to work. The employees know they must return to work. They know that if it's a safe workplace and that the workplace is following all of the guidelines, then there's no other reason for them to stay at home. So employers need to understand that some are still very, very nervous about their return to work, contracting the virus, exposing their families. Even though we're very fortunate in our little island bubble, the anxiety that comes with what if is still heavily playing on their minds. They've just spent 3 months in self-isolation and now return to the big world as they once knew it. Encourage conversation, daily check-ins, little chit-chat as they're settling back into their space. As a rule, we've always taught people not to bring their personal lives to work and not to bring their work lives home with them. But this is a time where communication is so important. And sometimes taking just the first few minutes of the day and making it personal is really going to be helpful. Communicate with your employees. As employers, it's important to reassure them that it's okay to feel anxious and stressed about returning to work. Employers need to do their best to ensure that employees feel supported through this transition. Maintaining clear, open channels of communication will be crucial during this period. Providing frequent updates on the protocols, normalizing conversations about stress and anxiety in the workplace, maintaining open channels of communication between employees, management, everybody in the building are simple ways to ensure that employees are simply feeling heard and appreciated. I love something one of our task force members shared with us recently. Thank you very much to Isabel Fry. Every time she greets someone, she asks them, on a scale of 1 to 10, how is your day going? And then when they respond with, I don't know, say a 7, she'll then say, well, what would it take to make that an 8? Ensure that people are not locking themselves up in their offices. Encourage social interaction now more than ever before while social distancing. Take an individualized approach. Remember, one size does not fit all. And where possible, adapt to the needs of the employee through this transition period, not the employee having to fit into the demands of the workplace. And what are some tips that employers can share with their employees? Well, for one, accept that some anxiety and fear is normal. COVID-19 is new. We continue to learn about it and its impacts daily. The uncertainty of the situation can really be anxiety-inducing for so many people. Seek credible information. Try to avoid information overload. It's important to stay informed and up to date on the current status of COVID in your area, but be sure to seek out credible sources for information. The concept of, well, if it's on Facebook, it must be true. We try to avoid that and only rely on those reliable sources, which could include your local government's publications, Health Canada. Exposing oneself to a constant stream of news, credible or not, should be avoided. Finding the proper balance of staying informed and avoiding an information overload can be so incredibly important to managing stress and anxiety. Make unplugging a priority. Make sure to take time to unplug from social media and news outlets. Instead, take time to exercise, read, anything else that might bring you joy without being plugged in all day and evening into your phone, your tablet, or other electronic devices that you depend on. Seek support. Now more than ever, it is important to ask for help when you're feeling overwhelmed. We are all navigating COVID-19 together, and asking for support from loved ones, friends, or colleagues, it really can make you feel less alone. Highlight the mental health services available through group health plans. If your employees have access to a group health plan, ensure they're aware of any mental health services that are available to them through this plan. EAP programs can be accessed. A lot of people don't know how to navigate this. Making sure they're aware of all of these tools that they have access to can assist in making them feel supported through their transition back to work. Maintain healthy eating and avoid using mind-altering substances. Maintaining a healthy diet, avoiding overconsumption of alcohol, tobacco, and other substances can certainly assist in minimizing your stress and anxiety. And this one I find imperative, self-care. I could repeat it all day long. Without self-care, we don't have an opportunity to take care of others either. Just a few minutes at the beginning and end of every day to unwind, rejuvenate, relax. These are the things that are so incredibly important to us that I think people don't take enough time in their day. Find the time, just a few minutes. We're now we've had the opportunity before today's webinar to have one of our mental health task force members, Wayne Button. He is the chair of Labrador Grenfell Health. And he took pre-record a video that Brad's going to bring up on the screen for us now with Miss Sandy Penny, who's the director for mental health and addictions at Lab Grenfell Health. So a few minutes here for us to take a look at what Wayne and Sandy have to say to us. Thank you.
Hey Sandy, how you doing? This is Wayne Button here from the Mental Health Task Force of Municipalities. Want to reach out to you today for our webinar and have a few questions with someone who's in the know on mental health issues. So Sandy, let's keep it simple. Why don't you start by just introducing yourself and let us know about your experience and what your role is with Labrador Grenfell Health.
Thank you, Wayne. So my position with Labrador Grenfell Health is I'm Regional Director for Mental Health and Addictions. I'm physically based in Labrador City at the Labrador West Health Centre, but I'm fully responsible for all all the services right across our entire vast Labrador Grenfell Health region. Okay.
So, I mean, it's really good to have you here today because with the webinar, you know, I know a lot of times as a community leader, things come across our desk, things that we're not fully prepared for or even expect. And especially right now with the COVID going on, a lot of times mental health issues will come to the forefront. So, you know, here you are, you're in front of a lot of municipal leaders here at this webinar. What are some things or word of advice or resources, things that you'd really like these municipal leaders to know about when they're, you know, struck with these difficult mental health issues?
Mm-hmm. So Wayne, like municipal leaders and like leaders anywhere now in any type of industry or healthcare environment, we're all struggling with the same. We have employees that work with us and for us that you know, have difficulties with mental health and addictions. So as I'm sure you know, Wayne, back in June 2017, our provincial government released the Towards Recovery Action Plan for Mental Health and Addictions. So I can't stress enough in terms of, since that release of that action plan, mental health and addictions across our province has made tremendous improvements in transforming our mental health and addiction system. So I always say that, you know, if you're looking for anything to do and wonder what we offer in mental health addictions right now, is I really direct people to the Bridge the Gap website. So it's www.bridgethegap.ca. And that's the website that anybody can go to learn anything about what we're offering. But I'm just going to highlight, you know, a few of the services. And I mean, in particular, I always talk about our Doorways, which is a walk-in counseling service. So people can walk in and receive the service when they need it, when they want it, and get their needs met immediately. Whereas in our previous system, mental health and addictions historically, in most regions, you know, a waiting list was blocking one from accessing services. So right now with Doorways, you can walk in and get the service when you want and need it. I mean, and you know, that's just one of many initiatives we've introduced since Towards Recovery. You know, we really view the mental health and addiction system in a stepped care model. So, you know, we have services that can meet people's needs from a low need to a high need. So of course the most intensive service that someone would need in the mental health and addictions area is an inpatient admission to hospital. But there's all kinds of services on Bridge the Gap for those more low intensity issues.
Okay. So I mean, for example, like I'm really aware of the Doorways. I've heard great things about that. So I'm somebody at home, I've never been to a counselor, let's say. I don't really know where to go. Like, should I go to the hospital with this issue? Would doorways would Bridge the Gap help with that in terms of where to guide me and where to go and how severe it is?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm Bridge the Gap Wayne. We have a service directory for all 4 regional health authorities in our province. So of course, we're in Labrador-Grenfell Health, so we would just click on that link and it would tell you exactly where all the offices are to in our region. And as importantly, it would also tell you the hours available for doorways at each of our offices, because every office varies in terms of the hours that you can access doorways. And I'm so pleased to say in a couple of our larger offices, we actually have doorways available to 10 p.m. on Tuesdays. So it's really, it's really increased access for people, especially people that work 8 to 4, Monday to Friday.
Okay. That's great, actually, because a lot of people don't always want to go to the hospital originally. They don't know, and you know how there could still be that stigma there. So, I mean, let's talk about that. I mean, I know just on the outside, you're on the inside of it, on the floor operational aspect. I did feel, that the stigma has changed a lot in our province. But how do you feel about that in terms of where it's going or where it could improve or not improve? Why don't we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Wayne, you're right. I mean, stigma, certainly has improved in terms of mental health and addictions. However, in many ways, it's still alive and well, and stigma is often the issue that gets in the way of people accessing services because they're ashamed. They feel they'll be judged if they reach out. So in terms of, there's a lot of measures communities can put in place and agencies can put in place to decrease stigma. So I'll just talk about a couple. I mean, the first thing that people can do is really know the facts. What is mental illness? What is a substance use disorder? And again, all of that information is available on Bridge the Gap. There's other things that communities and agencies can do is, be really aware and cognizant of your own attitudes and behaviors towards someone with a mental illness or a substance use disorder. Be really careful about the language we use. So we don't say, you are a schizophrenic. We say an individual has a diagnosis of schizophrenia. So it's really, really important to be aware and cognizant of the language we use even.
Okay. Yeah, decrease labeling and stuff like that.
Absolutely, Wayne.
Okay. So as a municipal leader, someone comes to me, I can send them to Bridge the Gap. A lot of times too, it's not even constituents. Sometimes it's people that, it's this new role where you're kind of a boss now and you have workers experiencing burnout and things like that. Not to put you on the spot, but on top of your head, is there any other programs that you can think of that municipal leaders can avail to for the constituents, but also for their staff members as well?
So Wayne, one feature that we added to Bridge the Gap, and it was actually done during Mental Health Week this year, and I really encourage either on an individual basis or if you were in municipality leader recommending to an employee or a community member kind of where to start. Western Health Mental Health Addictions actually have been using this screening program called Check It Out. Okay. NL.ca, and that's actually a tool that myself or you or anybody in our communities can go in, and it's a basic or a brief screening tool that screens for mental health and substance use issues. So you go in and you answer the screening tool, and then it'll give you the results. So you're answering it honestly. It'll give you the results, and then it will come back and feed back to you that based on the score and the tool, it recommends that you reach out for services, and it'll actually link you right back into where to access that service. So we're really, really pleased with that. And we've already seen a great uptake in people using the tool and reaching out for help as a result of it. It's basically a brief screener.
Oh, wow. So it's not too daunting? Like, how many questions is it? Does it take long? Or
I've had a look at it myself, and most of them are ranging between 7 and 10 questions.
Wow. Okay. So someone can go on that, click on it, and it will, send them to the right resource where they need to go.
Absolutely. So there's questions around anxiety, depression, substance use, you name it. It's all there. So I encourage people on Bridge the Gap website, check it out, nl.ca.
Okay. So Sandy, I learned a lot talking to you today about a lot of these things, but I know you have years of experience. It's hard to sum up everything in just a couple of minutes, but before we let you go, standing, talking in front of these community leaders, any other words of advice you have, or any other programs or anything else you just want to touch on before we let you go for these community leaders?
I mean, what I would say to our community leaders, you know, is I think we all need to get to a place where we, you know, for years and years and years, we've all been well aware of physical illnesses, cancer, diabetes, you name it, right? And I think we need to get there with mental illness, right? I mean, I always have this little saying, it's a very common saying, but there is no health without your mental health, right? And we all know, Wayne, that 1 in 5 individuals suffer with mental health issues throughout their lifetime. So it's a pretty high stat. And like I say, I'm very, very proud of the work we've done towards recovery, and Bridge the Gap website will give you everything and anything that you need to know about mental health addictions. But that's where I would like to see us someday, where we have, you know, mental health on the same playing field as what we have physical health, because they are both is equally important, and one impacts the other, right? We have a physical illness, our mental health is affected. If we have a mental illness, our physical health is affected. So that's where I would love to see society get someday, is have an equal playing field for both.
Awesome. Yeah, agreed. You know, and I would end too by letting some of the municipal leaders know that to go on and even read the Towards Recovery document. It's actually a really good document with all the party committee, and I remember I read it a while ago and I learned a lot about mental health I didn't know before. So I'd encourage people to go and read that as well if they want. Yeah. So Sandy, thank you so much for your time today. We learned a lot, and we'll probably touch up base with some following resources for the people the webinar to know. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you for taking the time to interview about this very important subject.
No problem. Have a good day now.
You're back, Tina. I was just about to say we had lost you. Hang on, now let's unmute you.
Unmute. Now, and see, now I'm talking to myself while I'm muted, right? I was saying I'm not a technology techie, but whatever just happened, I can't even explain it. They were there and then you were gone. So I'm back. I apologize, everybody. Quick recovery. And so when I got kicked out, they were just coming to the end of the video. And so I see that now you're here, Brad, so the video must be over. So just wanted to say thank you to Wayne and to Ms. Penny for giving us the opportunity to hear from them and have her share such great, valuable information. Moving forward, basically, the next couple of slides are this one here, managing stress during the pandemic. Really great resources that we've pulled. There's a reference page right at the end of this PowerPoint within the webinar, and it has all of the references that I've taken from our government locations and government sites, Canadian Mental Health Association. Just some really great information that's been put together with all of our existing resources relative to the mental health specific to COVID-19. And so I'd like to just share with people that anybody that would like to have access to these, if you'd like it quick access to it, my email is also at the end under the reference page. You can reach out to me, and I can certainly help set you up with all of these resources that we're presenting, as well as the government sites and CMHA sites that I have listed in the references. So this one here is just managing stress during the pandemic. It gives a little bit I've already referred to, but it gives, again, a nice, neat package of information that you can share with your employees. And the next one is just overall resources. Again, a lot of those were mentioned by Sandy in her conversation with Wayne, but very detailed information there as well about everything that's available to us in our community. Bridge the Gap, as she mentioned, I mean, we can't rave enough about that and what it offers to us in our municipalities and available to everybody. One of the things I sometimes think about and am concerned about is individuals that don't know how to navigate the system, that don't know how to access these resources. They don't have computers, so they can't just go on and type in the search engine and say, hey, find me resources. And so it's really making sure that everybody is aware so that we can be verbally sharing this as well. Word of mouth is, of course, of the utmost of importance. And so this page here is all a lot of walk-in facilities and resources in the area. And this next one is our e-services online. A number of e-services were starting to be launched. It was starting to be the new thing. Newfoundland and Labrador are on the cutting edge of such as well, I must say. But we didn't realize how important these e-services were going to become until COVID-19 hit. So this particular page here and the very next one is again just a summary of all of those online e-services that are available to people that you can access right from your home, from your phone, and from your internet. So, and then this one here too, this is a wealth of information. If you go on to CMHA, they have so many fabulous webinars and online courses, mental health training. There are 2 different programs that have been that have been put together now through mental health training that are all virtual. And so I know that they're looking at like the mental health first aid was being looked at from a virtual perspective. We were looking at Living Works, which provides the assist and suicide intervention training. They have an online forum now with virtual training. Again, it's just everybody's done a great job at stepping up and providing these resources to everyone and making them available. But I have seen over the last 3 months now that we've been at home, I have seen the majority of these webinars that are on the CMHA website. Fabulous learning. So I really encourage, if not yourselves, but to at least take that that website and provide it to your employees and other people. And yeah, that's just the references I was referring to, as well as my contact information. Wanting to just, I'm not sure if there are any questions, but please feel free to reach out or share the information from today with other individuals that you may be in your workplace. One of the things I'd like to do as well is just take a second to talk about the Mental Health Task Force for a minute. It's, you know, near and dear to my heart. It's something that's been in the works now with MNL for the last couple of years. Our last year, we were able to formulate our team, very productive. A lot is coming out of it, and over the next few weeks, we'll be able to compile everything that we have done and put out a notice to the members to let them know what's happening. But please, if there's anybody out there, we're always looking for individuals with ideas and interest from all the regions of Newfoundland and Labrador to be able to come forward. We will need people in September to join us and continue helping us support our ideas. Yeah, it's busy. There's a lot going on. And again, like a big thanks to Brad for always being there for us. It's, you know, I'm the one that does all the talking. I'm really good at that. But this other stuff, it's very, very, very thankful for his help. So please, please take the time to look in your communities and find those champions that really support mental health the way we need to in our municipalities, and have them reach out so that we can have a conversation about what it is that we're doing and how it is that we're approaching everything moving forward. And so that's me. Thanks again. I don't know, Brad, if there's anything else.
Tina, thanks. Thank you very much. Really great information. You know, it's we're very proud at MNL to work with the Mental Health Task Force, Communities That Care. It's a great initiative, and we certainly look forward to the activity now moving forward. I will just mention to our attendees that if you do have a question for Councillor Neary, please put it into the chat function in the Zoom app. We'll just give it a second while I close things out, and if any questions come up, Tina will jump in. So again, this webinar brought to you by the Mental Health Task Force, but also through MNL Advantage and Municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador. Big thank you to Tina today for coming together, and also a big thank you to Wayne and the staff at Labrador Grenfell Health for pulling together that interview for us. Some great information there as well. And one thing I take away from it all, Tina, and I'm sure you agree, is, and it's the phrase that we heard at the beginning of COVID, we're all in it together. And it's very important for everyone to know that there is a network. There's a network of support and a network of resources, and by all means, reach out to the committee at any time. I don't see any questions coming in, so I'll conclude things for the day, Tina, if that's all right with you. Just a quick note of that we will follow up with the PowerPoint from the presentation today for everyone that was logged in. And of course, the video will be available online for a period of time too. So be sure to spread the word. At MNL, we'll certainly push out the fact that the webinar is available on demand. And if you have any other suggestions for webinars or information or training, by all means, reach out to Municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador or myself at any time. time, I can be reached at 709-763-4686 or bpower@municipalnl.ca. So thanks again, Tina, for everything that you do. Great job today. And thanks everybody for joining. We look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. Have a great day.
Thanks, Brad. Goodbye, everybody.